Welcome to Hope Starts With Us, a podcast by NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. I'm your host, Daniel H. Gillison Jr., the CEO of NAMI. We started this podcast because we believe that hope starts with us, all of us. Hope starts with us talking about mental health. Hope starts with us making information accessible. Hope starts with us providing resources and practical advice. Hope starts with us sharing our stories, and hope starts with us breaking the stigma. I am here today with Elise Lovely-Banks. Elise is a member of NAMI North Texas, and we'd like for Elise to tell you a little bit about who she is and what she does, both with NAMI, also in your professional life. And then we'll get into a couple of questions. So thank you for being with us. And to our audience, if you hear any background noise, we are here at NAMICon 2024 in Denver, Colorado, and we have over 1,500 of our closest friends here. So we apologize for any background noise, but we're doing this in real time. And Elise has been pleasant enough, unscripted, to join us for this podcast. So Elise, tell our audience about you.
Well, thank you, Dan, first of all, for having me today. And I am a national ambassador for NAMI and have been since 2016, I believe. And I'm also serving as board president for NAMI Texas for my second year. And but my day-to-day work, I'm a clinical psychotherapist in Houston. And so I work with patients primarily with anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, and some addiction as well. So even when I'm not advocating for mental health, I'm in the trenches with my patients and seeing day in and day out the struggles that they face.
Yeah, this is wonderful. And I said NAMI North Texas. Let's correct that. NAMI Texas.
NAMI Texas, yeah.
NAMI Texas. And you've been one of our most longest tenured ambassadors. We're talking about 2016. So you've been an ambassador with us for about 8 years now. So Thank you very much. And in terms of being the president of the board, thank you for your leadership. Leadership is so critically important, and we know that that's a volunteer role. So we really appreciate it very much. In your role as an ambassador, you've really been helping us in a number of ways, lending your voice and your experience. And recently let me back up. First of all, congratulations as a newlywed. Let me just say that. And next, let me speak to, you have been a pageant contestant, a pageant winner, and you've been on the big stage. And you've used your voice and your experience to help us.
Yes.
And to actually do some coaching and some supportive work with some of the pageant contestants. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So actually, that's how I came to learn of NAMI in the first place. When I won Miss Texas in 2015, NAMI Texas reached out to ask if I would be their state ambassador, what that role would entail. And I was like, that sounds great, but who are y'all? And they shared more, and I did my research, and I thought, what I was sad about is I'm in the field and have no idea what NAMI is. And so that's why I said yes to that role, because I wanted to make NAMI a household name, and that's been my mission ever since. A lot of people wonder if pageants and mental health, how does that go hand in hand? But, there is a mental health aspect to pageantry. I mean, being emotionally stable, being confident in who you are. But I've had the opportunity on behalf of NAMI to work with the Miss USA contestants and the Miss Universe contestants in doing some mental health workshops to make sure that they keep their emotions safe and in check while they're competing.
We appreciate and what you just said about being in this discipline in terms of your work, and you didn't know about NAMI. How have you seen it evolve since 2015, 2016? Do you think that NAMI is getting out to more communities in terms of people being aware of NAMI? What is it looking like to you?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it went from when people would see my posts and they would say, what is NAMI, to now, again, I mean, people regularly talk to me about NAMI and how NAMI has impacted them and helped save their life or a family member's life. I think, people, when they're looking for resources, they think NAMI first, which I can't say that was going to happen in 2015. So I've seen NAMI become more and more a household name, but we still have a lot more work to do, and I'm here to continue that mission.
Yeah, and in terms of you coming to NAMICon 2024, what are you looking to share and to learn while you're here?
So this is actually my 10th NAMI National Convention.
Wow.
So I feel like every year when I come, it's like coming home. You're seeing family and friends and colleagues that maybe you haven't seen since the year before. So you're reconnecting, you're meeting new people as well. But what the NAMI convention brings to me every year is that renewed strength. Burnout in this field is real, especially as a practicing clinician. And sometimes you wonder if the work you're doing is it making an impact?
Yes.
Are people listening? Are lives being changed? And when you come in a setting like this and get to see the lives that have been changed and get to talk to others, you realize, this is what I was called to do. And it gives you that boost of energy to go back home and continue the work that you're working on.
Last question. Thank you very much. And so this is about kind of not sharpening the saw, but just replenishing your soul and confirming and validating what you do and why you do it. Speaking of that, as a clinician, the work has to be exhausting. What do you do for self-care?
Well, I say therapists should be in therapy themselves. I actually think that should be like a Netflix show. Because
Therapists in therapy.
I know my therapist sometimes has to stop and say, Elise, you answered like a therapist. You didn't answer like Elise. But in all seriousness, I do think therapists should have a therapist because there's only so much that we can talk about because of confidentiality.
Yes.
And so to have a therapist that you can say, this was a really tough situation, or I heard some things about a client or a patient that are disturbing me and some of the things I've had to go through. And then practicing your self-care. I mean, for me, journaling is really big, working out, spending time with loved ones. And it may sound silly, but I schedule my self-care because if it's not on my calendar, it's not going to happen. So I intentionally put times where I can either get away from myself or spend time with loved ones and make sure that I am restored.
And I want to thank you for sharing that because I remember in a couple of our meetings after you got to meet me and we did a couple of different things. You came to Baton Rouge to a HBCU, and thank you very much. And you moderated a panel there. And then as we did a couple other things, you then asked me about my self-care, and I didn't want to answer. And so thank you for being that advocate. So as we wrap up, we always have one last question that we ask our guests. And that is our guest, excuse me. And that is about, this world. The world can be a tough place, and holding on to hope can be difficult sometimes. How do you hold on to hope?
I always remember what my why is. My parents said when I was born, they knew when I was born that I had a purpose in this world, and everything I do is to honor them, but also to make sure that I'm doing the work that I feel I was called to do. And there's difficult days. There's days, again, where I feel like I don't know if my work matters. But then there's, the one client that tells you, I made a decision that saved my life. Or there's, the one person you meet at a conference who said, the work that you're doing, I listened to that podcast or I read your article. And those moments, it just solidifies, yes, the work that we do is impactful.
This is incredible. So as we wrap up, I just want to say, this has been Hope Starts With Us, a podcast by NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. If you are looking for mental health resources, you are not alone. To connect with the NAMI helpline and find local resources, visit nami.org/help. Text helpline to 62640 or dial 800-950-NAMI 6264. Or if you're experiencing an immediate suicide, substance use, or mental health crisis, please call or text 988 to speak with a trained support specialist or visit 988lifeline.org. I am here with Elise Banks and Elise Banks Lovely. And I just want to say thank you, Elise, for being with us. Okay? All right.